Hey folks, it's Mark, and in this video, I want to take some time and demonstrate to you the Dash platform in hopes that you will find some value in what it can do. The first thing I'd like to point out is our action menu on the right side of the screen. This allows you to interact with Dash in adding projects, adding revenues, expenses, or logging time. You can also start a timer and record your time in real time. That's what we're going to do now. Cool. Now that timer is running, let's take a look at the app. The first thing that you'll notice is we have a dynamic Pret chart in the main dashboard. The Pret chart stands for profit, revenue, expenses, and time, and it shows you all of this data on the same chart. You can choose the duration for which you want to see all of this data from. If we scroll down a little bit, you'll notice 6 key reports that we feature on this page. More of these metrics and KPIs will be found in the reports page. Scrolling a little bit more down, we see the financial overview. This gives an insight into your inflows and your outflows over the last 6 months or 12 months. And you will also note that we feature revenue summaries and expense summaries, which are basically which categories your revenues or expenses are coming from so that you can determine the best course of action for your business. At the bottom of the dashboard, we see the time overview. This features an activity contributions grid, which basically shows the previous year in a grid format where each of the squares represent a day and the shading of the color represents how much time you spent on that day to which projects. We also show some cool activity stats, as well as your categorical summaries for where your time is going, either during that week or during that month. Shifting gears and moving on to the reports page, this is where we've collected our 20 plus reports, metrics, and KPIs for your business. We've separated them into different tabs for key metrics, financial metrics, time metrics, and so on and so forth. You'll note that for each of these metrics, you can set targets. And once you have set targets, you can see how you're doing in relation to those targets so that you're meeting your goals. We also have a trend chart for the past 6 months of how you have been doing against your metric targets. Moving on to the projects page, this is where all of your projects live. You can separate your projects based on the status, whether they're active, on hold, completed, or all of them together. Also note that you can set specific tags for your projects. The tags live in the top navigation bar, and they help you to filter out your projects, time entries, revenues, expenses, and pretty much everything else across the application. So if we go into one of these projects here, you will note that we have the dynamic Pret chart again. Now, this Pret chart shows your profit, revenue, expenses, and time specific to this individual quick loans project. Similarly, we have 6 key metrics again that we display that you can set targets to ensure that your specific project is meeting your goals. Similarly, we have our timesheet entries, which you can import into Dash or export out of Dash. We have our list of revenues, our list of expenses. Now onto the finance page, this is where all of your transactions live. You can choose to look at all your transactions together, broken down by month, displaying the total for that month on the right-hand side, or you can choose to go into revenues or expenses individually. We also have your recurring payments here. The recurring payments you can set so that you can save yourself some time for payments that you know you're going to receive or expenses that you know you will have. For example, monthly retainers, subscription costs, hosting domain names, so on and so forth. Note that for each of these views, you can choose to display them in a card view or in a list view, depending on what you like to see. And you can also import expenses, revenues, or transactions into Dash or out of Dash to ensure that your workflow is seamless and uninterrupted. You'll notice that we have some pending recurring transactions. So if and when you set recurring transactions, when they're due, you will get notifications at the top, which you can choose to add or you can choose to cancel. Finally, navigating to our last page, this is the time tracking page. This is where all of our log time entries live. You'll see that we're displayed a calendar view showing the week and all of the time entries that we logged during that week. But if you choose to do so, you can of course display it as list items. Let's go to a previous week here where there were quite a few time entries logged. You'll note that we have some green dollar signs here. These green dollar signs represent billable time. When you're logging time, you can choose whether it should be billable or not. Additionally, you can also add descriptions, time categories, and projects for those time entries. You'll note that we had started a timer at the beginning of this video. If we were to stop this, then it would automatically log that time for the current day. For example, we're currently recording this on December 10th, and if I were to go ahead and stop this, then we would see that recording Dash was added here, and it was indeed billable. So that marks the end of our product demonstration of Dash for today. I hope that this was informative and that it excited you to perhaps start using Dash to solve your business needs. Thank you, and see you in the next one.